This episode is brought to you by Kia's first 3-row all-electric SUV, the Kia EV9, with available all-wheel drive and seating for up to 7 adults, with a 0 to 60 speed that thrills you 1 minute and available reclining lounge seats that unwind you the next. Visit kia.com/EV9 to learn more. Ask your Kia dealer for availability. No system, no matter how advanced, can compensate for all driver error and or driving conditions. Always drive safely.
Welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast, your go-to source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We hope you tune in often for all things people management, organizational development and change, organizational leadership, and social impact related. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with Human Capital Innovations Podcast. Welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. In this HCI podcast episode, I talk with Alex Circe about remote engineering management and software development, especially in the COVID-19 context. Alex Circe, welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have this conversation today. You are joining us from Romania, which is on the other side of the world. So it's morning for me, it's evening for you. It's a pleasure to have a chance to talk with you. And today we're going to be focusing on your area of specialty and expertise, and that is engineering management and software development. And I'll be picking your brain about doing this remotely in a COVID-19 context and the challenges and opportunities that you faced amidst this situation as an organizational leader and driving home productivity and efficiencies for your people. As we get started, I just wanted to share Alex's bio with everyone. Alex Circe is the co-founder and CEO of WayDev. WayDev is one of the market leaders in the analytics industry. It analyzes code base, PRs, and tickets to help engineering leaders measure and improve their engineering team's performance. In the last 13 years, he's founded and led several other businesses, most of them related to e-commerce space. In the last 10 years, he has been struggling to stay in sync with the progress that his engineering team is making. Because of this, he's created WayDev to help engineering managers gain better visibility into the development process. I think that's awesome. Process efficiencies is a really important aspect of being a high performance team, and creating a good culture within your team as you go through those efficiencies is also very important. I'm super excited to hear your take on all of this, particularly within the COVID context. Anything you would like to add by way of personal background or how you got to where you're at before we launch into our conversation for today?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for this kind introduction. Basically, I started WayDev because I was frustrated to not being able to understand the output of the engineers. I started my first company in 2007, and basically we've launched products each year, and it was really hard to understand the output of the engineers. And at the end of 2016, when I was helping another startup to understand the output of their engineers, I realized we don't have an analytics tool for software development. And this is how I started WayDev, by looking at the graph in GitHub, and decided to build Google Analytics for software development.
Yeah, I mean that's really cool. It's a great need, and it's good to see you tackling that space. And I hope you the most success, as you carry forward with this endeavor. So let's talk a little bit more about maybe the technical side of engineering management and software development. So this is not my space. This is not my expertise. walk us through a little bit about what that looks like, what that process typically is, and then specifically a little bit more about how you're able to help improve that process through WayDev, and then we can move into talking about doing all of this with remote teams in a COVID context and the challenges and opportunities that you faced as an organizational leader.
Sure. Probably you know, as engineers, we are building a lot of things, and we are helping other parts of the companies to sell, to promote, to market all these kind of things. And in software development, we are not yet data driven. We don't have a way to track the output of the engineers. Basically, we started in the 90s with long deadlines, with waterfall method, projects that took 6, 9, 12 months. We adapted in 2000 to agile, to sprints, 2 week sprints, and we moved faster with this agile methodology. But the future is for real-time data and automatic reports directly from the input of your engineers. And this is what we are building. We created a data-driven way of looking at the output of the engineers. And this is possible now because all the code is out there in Git tools like GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, or Azure. And now it's possible to track what the engineers are doing, and to have automatic reports, and to be able as a manager to look at everything in real time. And this is what we've done. If you look at let's say if you look at the sales industry, you see Salesforce, and everybody is tracking the salespeople by looking at the data and so on. But in the software development, this is not possible. And we've done this with WayDev. We created metrics that are applying on top of the output of the engineers, and we are helping their managers and their executives to understand what is there to improve these metrics and to be able to track everything. We've launched the product in 2019. We started fine, but due to COVID, we started to reach to have big customers, big enterprises like Caterpillar, Genpact, that are willing to, let's say, to have more visibility in their companies by looking at the output of everybody. With COVID, everybody is remote right now, and it is really hard to see the output of the engineers, and they had to adapt to these new ways of tracking the output and tracking the performance, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, that's really interesting. And it's always good to be able to have performance metrics that align with, really what the desired outcomes and the overall strategy and the culture of the organization are. And it's a common problem that many organizations, not just software development or engineering type processes, many organizations and many types of jobs really struggle to identify the right types of metrics that align with their core business objectives, right? So they're tracking the right things, measuring the right things, and using that data in real time to help coach and mentor and help improve the performance of your people, right? So this is great that you are providing this kind of a platform and an opportunity, to enhance the development and the efficiencies of software engineers. That's awesome. So tell us a little bit more about what this looks like in this COVID context. I mean, you're in Europe. I'm in Utah. The U.S., we're leading the world in cases of COVID, and in Utah, we're one of the hot spots, even for the U.S. And so it's kind of this crazy world of trying to deal with the pandemic and how that impacts the nature of work across industries. Within your software engineering and software development space, have you seen that same kind of an impact where it's been very disruptive, or has it looked different for you? And how have you been dealing with that?
Yeah, yeah, you are right. Everything is changing right now. We have to adapt, and also in the software development space, we had to adapt. We if economy is down and if everybody's if the world stop, you have to adapt and to be able to add new things in your daily life and to adapt to the new way of working. And for software development, it's not that hard because we are working on our computers and we can work from anywhere. But in terms of the culture, in terms of the management and how to work with everybody in your team, how to stay in sync, how to treat the culture thing of working from home, this was really tough. And also we saw everything blocked from in April, in May, and we saw how companies adapt to this new way of working from June till now, and we saw how they are working to add new tools in their organizations to be able to track everything, to treat this really well, to work to make enjoyable to work from home. And we are trying also at WayDev to help these managers to treat their engineers well, to reduce the number of daily meetings, to let them code. Because if let's say in February you work from your office and you switch to working from home, you had to adapt really quickly and to be able to work well and to be able to perform. And it was really tough for our customers, and we had also ourselves at WayDev, we had to adapt from working from home. We are a US company. I'm trying to come back in San Francisco. We have an R&D office in Europe. And fortunately, I was here when everything this started, and in Europe everything started. This COVID situation started earlier, I think 45 days before US, and we are a little bit ahead now. Not really, but we had 45 days of working from the office and so on, and we had the pleasure to do this hybrid, working from the office, some people working from home, and we are trying to create and to work with our customers to understand how to treat this well and to be able to adapt to this new way of work. And everything is new for everybody, except few companies that were fully remote, but are only a few, like GitLab or the company from Automatic, which is behind WordPress, popular CMS, and it was easier for them. But for the most companies, we had to adapt and to change our habits and to adapt new things in our daily lives. And with our tool, we are trying to help everybody in order to do that. and to be able to switch and to perform better easily without asking a lot of questions. Because in software development, you have, let's say, an early meeting with all the engineers and you start asking questions, what you've done yesterday and so on. And this is not really healthy. Also, when you are working from home, if someone is asking you on a daily basis what you've done and so on, it's really tough, because this is trackable right now. And we recommended to our customers to reduce the number of daily meetings, to focus more on the output of the engineers, and to start taking more time to look at the reports, start more analyzing the data, add let's say chat meetings to meet with their engineers and to talk about anything else let's say everything, something not related to the work, and to be able to socialize, let's say. And yeah, it's pretty new also for us. We are trying to understand how this is impacting the world, and to create new things and to adapt to this new way of working.
Well, thank you for that overview of how that's impacted your business and the world of software engineers, software design. And, like you said, it's been a really hard transition for a lot of people. And some types of jobs, it's been a little bit easier than others. If you're predominantly working on your computer in the office, then, that's an easier transition to make to virtual work. And we have technologies to allow us to do to have virtual meetings in real time and other ways to continue to collaborate. But that culture shift that can happen when people aren't in person anymore, and even if you went from being like half and half or 80-20, working from home and in the office, to completely virtual, that changes things. And so then you have to be very proactive about maintaining the type of collaborative and innovative culture that you want to have with your team in that virtual world, and that can be really hard. But you've talked about focusing on outputs rather than constantly micromanaging and checking up on people all the time to make sure that they're doing what they are supposed to be doing. That's part of why your company is so important, because you're able to just see in real time the type of progress that people are making, and then you can focus on outputs, and you don't have to really worry about or care even about who's working when, as long as they have good outputs with good quality, right? I don't really care in terms of when I'm thinking about like scheduling. Schedule flexibility in a virtual workplace is key, right? And you just give people the opportunity to do what works for them and their family, and their particular context. And as long as they're producing, who cares? When they're working, or if they take frequent breaks, whatever, just let them be productive in a way that works for them. But there are technologies that allow us to monitor that without having to have endless check-in meetings constantly, where people just feel, the pressure of constantly having to defend their existence, for continuing to be an employee of the organization, even though they're virtual. So that's kind of what I heard you saying as you were describing the current situation. So I'm curious if you could talk a little bit more about like some of the specific things you've tried to do with your organization to maintain that kind of collaborative culture with your team, so that they can continue, to work on their stuff. They get their assignments and they work on their own projects and their own pieces, but that they also still have to collaborate, and they still have to find ways to work together in effective ways and still push the envelope and innovate. So what are some ways that you've worked with your team remotely to do that?
Yeah, exactly. You are right. And let me show you some of the things we've done. We don't know if we are unique or something like that, but we adapted to this new way. And what we've done, we've reduced the number of meetings for in the for the work purpose, let's say. And we have a daily meeting at in 1 o'clock, let's say. We are talking about half an hour or 1 hour, but not related work. This is that lunch break, and we are talking about anything else. And regarding work, what we've done, we are meeting in the like Monday morning, and we are planning the week ahead. We are adding all the things, all the goals, what we would like to achieve in that week, and we are meeting again at the end of the week, Friday, and we are looking at what we've done, and we are analyzing if we were able to finish our task and being able to deploy what we've talked in Monday. We have real-time technology where we can communicate all the time regarding work, and we can collaborate really easily with tools like Slack. And this is really easy to do right now. And what is hard with this new situation is to maintain that culture in your company, because everybody, everyone, yeah, it's not the same thing, and you have to adapt, and everybody is tough for everybody, let's say. And this is why we are doing this daily meeting of talking about anything else, movies, COVID, or something else, not regarding the work. And regarding work, we are talking on our live chat communication, and we are trying to focusing on the output. This is what we've done, and it's working really well. Probably for the companies that are switching to this new remote work, they saw some productivity in the first month, but this will decrease over time, because working from home is not easy, and you have to adapt. You need to be happy, you need to enjoy, to have passion of working from home. And this is why we are promoting for any company to spend half an hour, 1 hour, if not daily, 2 or 3 times a week, talking about themselves, what they are doing, how they are adapting to this, and to socialize. This is what we are recommending. And regarding work, if they are doing this, if they are planning well, and they are planning well what they have to do in that week, everything will work. Probably you'll have good weeks, bad weeks, but we have to adapt and to work fine. I heard about companies that have 2 meetings a day, checking in the morning, checking in the evening, which we don't recommend this, because adding a lot of friction in your daily work, this will not work. Because when you close after the meeting, you can do whatever you want. And if that employer, if is not focusing on work, this will not be good for the company. You have to measure to measure everything, but give freedom to everybody. This is what we are recommending for this new COVID-19 situation.
Yeah, how I understand what you are doing is that you're providing a non-intrusive way to measure, right? To measure output without having to disrupt the work that people are doing and to disrupt the flow of work. So if you're constantly having to do check-in meetings I mean, like you said, to a certain extent, you do need to check in with each other. You do need to have meetings where you're collaborating. You do have to do those types of things. But if the sole purpose of the meeting is the beginning of the day check in, end of the day check out, making sure everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing, that's disruptive. It's micromanaging. It's not showing trust in your people, and it's just disruptive and breaks up the productivity of your people. So having a non-disruptive kind of an approach where you can still, monitor key performance indicators, and you can still have discussions with people who may not be meeting output, thresholds, then you can have development conversations and you can have mentoring and coaching conversations as needed, but you don't have to subject everybody, twice a day, to have these check-in meetings. That just sounds crazy to me. But like you said, it's not uncommon right now. There are so many organizations doing things like that and having these constant check-ins. And even if they're not check-ins, I don't know about you, but I've seen in my own work life since COVID happened and everyone started going remote, that the number of meetings that I'm in daily has gone way up. People just are scheduling meetings constantly because it's easier. They're virtual. You don't have to travel. And so everyone just starts to think, let's just schedule a meeting. And so all of a sudden you have all of these meetings all day. And when are you supposed to actually get your work done? It's a little bit of overkill. And a lot of times something that can be addressed in a quick phone call or over an email ends up becoming a half-hour or hour-long meeting, and it's just not necessary. So we definitely need to be thoughtful about what we're requiring our people to be involved with in terms of meetings, and just make sure that it makes sense, and constantly ask ourselves, what's the purpose of this meeting? Who needs to be there? The other thing I've found with meetings is now, because they're virtual and we're not in a physical space, people start inviting everybody. So instead of having like a small leadership meeting with like 6 people, now you're just say, hey, everyone jump on the Zoom meeting. And so now you have 100 people in this meeting. It's a complete waste of time for the vast majority of those people who don't need to be there. And you think of the opportunity cost involved with dips in performance because people are getting distracted, and it's got to be huge. So we just got to be thoughtful about that.
Exactly.
Well, it has been a real pleasure talking with you today, Alex. I really appreciate your time. Before we close and wrap things up, I just wanted to make sure I gave you a moment where you could give the final word on this topic and share with listeners how they can get connected with you and find out more about what you're doing with WayDev.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. If they want to see our innovation and what we are doing, and if they are in our target, if they are engineering leaders, they can check out waydev.co. And myself, I'm on Twitter at Twitter/Alex Hearsay. If they want to connect with me and ask me anything regarding entrepreneurship and engineering management.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Alex. It's truly been a pleasure. I always love connecting with professionals in areas outside of my expertise. So that's been a pleasure. But also connecting with people internationally. We're doing really great, important work. And so I wish you the best as you continue with your work at WayDev. And I hope all the listeners will reach out, get connected, find ways to see if Alex might be able to help you in your organization. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week.
We are excited about the launch of HCI's new magazine, Human Capital Leadership. Human Capital Leadership is a free, interactive e-magazine designed to help individuals, leaders, and organizations find innovative approaches to maximize their human capital potential. We will be publishing issues quarterly in August, November, February, and May. Check out the first issue and let us know what you think. Thanks again for joining us for this episode of the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. I hope you stay healthy and safe and that you have a great week. Check out our new weekly LinkedIn newsletter, Alchemizing Human Capital, exploring industry trends via original research and interviews with executives and thought leaders from across the globe. We look forward to having you join us.